Hi, it's Thad at Willoway. It's November 17th, and we're talking a little bit about winterization over the last couple episodes. I wanted to continue on that. One of the things that wanted to talk about in this house is some of the environmental setup, but also what we're doing with the plants. So in here, this house is a house of grasses, natives, all kinds of different ones. But you can see we've cut them slightly back. Part of that is to reduce the biomass on them. We'll still cut them in the spring a little further down, but what we didn't want is create a habitat for rabbits and mice to nest and create a lot of chaos. So this way we can check for any kind of damage to occur. Mice or voles are very bad in grasses and can chew the root systems up, so it's important to monitor them. And so this way we're able to do that a little bit easier. Some of the other things that we've got going on in this house, we've got the white and clear on this house. So white plastic on the outside and clear inside of that. And then we have inflation fans that work in between, creating an air pocket in there that helps give us a little more heat in this house. And then we have a hired hand heater, and that blows warm air out across the crop. And then we have the HAF fans about 50 feet apart to move the hot air down to the other end of the house. If it's a wider house, then we would have the fans coming back away, but the fans work in conjunction with the direction coming out of the furnace. And that's another thing, like with the grasses or things like that. We can't have anything tall right near where the heat comes out of the furnace, because it comes out in 300 degrees to 350 degrees. So obviously that would either start a fire or damage the plants quite heavily. So we always lose a little bit of space by that. So that's another important consideration. The other thing with overwintering plants this time of year is we're getting close to the end, so we're doing a good watering before we put them to bed. That's important to make sure that the plants are fully hydrated going into winter, because it won't get any more moisture. So when we look at a pot, we want to make sure that we've got decent roots, got good moisture. You can see this one's really loaded up. I can feel the weight, and I can see that it's loaded up well. So that's really what we want to see going into winter. This will dry down over time, being above ground, and so if we go in dry to the winter, we may not have enough moisture when spring, because we take the system down and we blow out our system here at Willoway, and we have limited amounts of places where we have watering. So that would mean if they were drying down, we'd have to bring a water wagon into these houses and water them by hand. All right, here we moved over to another house. We're in a house, Dianthus Paint the Town Fuchsia from Proven Winners. Really nice crop. We've got a different crop on the other end, but this is kind of what we want to see going into winter. The one thing I will say is anytime you have flowers on a plant, perennial, they are susceptible to getting botrytis or gray mold. So we want to watch that. In some species, we do take and cut the actual flower heads off in the fall here, and we won't do a lot more. So we're kind of monitoring this to make sure we're in a good place with it. Things seem really good right now. We got good moisture, but we're not overwatering these. Dianthus can be problematic that way. Some of the other plants that we don't do a lot of trimming in the till late into the winter, basically February. We don't do any of the rudbeckias. We don't do echinacea. We don't do some things with hollow stems like the perennial hibiscus. The hollow stems, we can get water to go down in and it can crown rot them. The other ones to be careful of the amount of water that you do is the fall blooming anemones, German iris, for example. Some of those plants are very susceptible to having the roots rot if they stay too wet for too long. So you really want to look at what you're doing with each plant and kind of custom that house and the water, what you're doing with it. All right, we started some of our winter propagation. This is Buxus Select 1. It's a new variety that we're working on producing. Some of the things that are important here is, as you can see, I'm holding up a tent of plastic. We want to keep the humidity up on these types of cuttings. So what we do is this drapes down over, we keep the moisture in there, and we want to be above 80% relative humidity. And we have a sensor here that's a wireless sensor. This little tab picks up the moisture inside the area. So normally we're running between 85 to 90 a lot of times with this tent. We'll roll it down or burp it on some of the warmer days where we need to exchange air out. But we're getting really good rooting. We're using these LE plug trays, and we're having really good luck with those as well. We like them because when we pull them out, they got the paper sleeve on them. They're air pruned in the plugs, and we think they're going to produce a better liner for us going forward. Some of the details is on this box we're doing 2 cuttings per cell, so that's just to help us get a better overall take, but also a fuller plant if both of them take off. So some pretty neat stuff. We'll be checking back in on this process. We've got a lot more to do this year. We're just getting started. This is the first things we've done for the winter here. So December will be a big month for us.